evening. My name is Susan Stevenson. I'm the chair of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation for Southampton Village. I'm calling this meeting on September 10th to order. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
I make a motion that we open this meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation on September 10th,
Second?
2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before we begin, I'd like to make it clear that I expect everyone, the board and the public, to speak and act with civility. If you are going to speak, please write your name on the list on the front table. And if you have information or exhibits, put them on the table and have them face the board so that our videographer can pick it up. Also, I'd like to introduce the board. Rob Coburn to my left, Christina Redding to my right, Curtis Highsmith. Jeff Broadleib is not here tonight. Our counsel, Bo Robinson, and our historic consultant, Zach Studenroth, are here, and Antoinette Edwards is our recording secretary, and Charles Styler is the videographer. Let's get started. First, we have to approve the meeting and the minutes from the past two meetings.
I wasn't at the one 2 ago, so I'm going to stay out of the first one.
You don't have a vote. Unfortunately, I wasn't here either, so
So we can't vote on, which one is that?
the 13th.
No quorum. How about August 27th?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from August 27th with some amendments that have been
Right.
circulated by Antoinette.
Okay.
I second it.
Aye.
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 Aye. So we've approved the August 27th minutes, but we can't do the 13th. Okay, let's move ahead. Signs?
This sign is for Best Modular. It's a contractor sign.
Is anyone here to represent Best Modular? Now, this is the second or third time someone has not been here.
He's second, yeah.
Second.
We don't like one part of it, so.
You could strike it from your agenda. You could ask Antoinette to contact the applicant and find out what the status is.
Could you, please?
Yes, I'll make sure that they
Okay,
are well.
wait. Contact. Next, these just showed up, huh? Dayton Ritz, I have an Osborne Insurance. I have to recuse myself since they are my insurance agents.
88 Main Street.
So carry on. Should I get out? And I have to go out of the room, so. Rob, give me the
We'll knock one up. Okay.
Hi, I'm Ted from Fisher Signs, but it's being put through by Ocean Graphics, and we're just here on behalf of them, who's on behalf of Dayton, Ritz, and Osborne. So,
Ted, sorry, what is your last name?
Dratch.
Dratch. So this is a storefront sign for the building at 88 Main Street?
Yeah, it looks like there's two storefront signs, and then some door lettering.
Do you have a copy you can lay down on the table facing us so that it can be picked up on the screens?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
That?
I think we'll be able to get it.
All right. And does everybody here have a copy, or?
Yes, we have
a
a copy.
copy.
You have copies, okay. So you have there's two pictures on here. There's one in the front and one in the back. A larger one, a slightly smaller one. They all conform to town specifications. And then there's some door lettering. And I have the PMS color chips here.
What's the material of the sign?
The large one is 3/4 inch PVC, and the smaller one is 1/2 inch PVC. And then it's just standard vinyl on a glass door.
And the colors are white, orange, and brown?
White is the background, and then there's an orange and dark brown color. if you want to see the exact colors. Let me see here.
Charlie, can you pick these up that Christina's holding?
Just get this out here.
There, yeah. He's got it. He's got it. And the sign's not that easy. Okay.
Should I hand them to him?
This,
Any lighting, lanterns, any lighting plan proposed?
Not that I know of, no.
So the answer is no? There's no lighting, no lantern.
No, there's nothing in the picture. There's just that one lantern over the smaller sign there.
It's just pre-existing.
That's pre-existing, yeah. But as far as I know,
I have no issue. Sign seems to be conforming. It's not too busy. There's not a lot of unnecessary detail to the sign itself, so I have no objection to the application.
I make a,
I'm fine with it.
Any public motion? See if there's any public.
any public commentary on this sign? I make a motion that we approve the sign for Dayton, Ritz, and Osborne Insurance at 88 Main Street.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks.
And our last sign is Maritime East LLC. It's for a contractor sign.
That's us again.
Did you sign your name on, is there, does he have his?
He signed his name for me, it wasn't signed.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
Fisher Signs representing Dead On Design, which came up with a design for Maritime East Construction. And this is the layout. And this would be the placement or the address of where it's going. Two aluminum posts, a 3/4-inch PVC sign, single-sided.
And that background color is a dark gray.
I have that as well. It's more of a deep navy. It's almost black, but it's more of a very dark navy blue, and then like a light blue or blue-gray color. Very light blue, I would say, here and here. It doesn't come out the same on the printer, so that's why we have the chips.
Do you have any objections, anyone? Is there any public comment? Ready to vote?
I'll make a motion that we approve the sign for Maritime East as a contractor sign.
Second.
Aye.
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 That concludes the signs. Moving on, written decisions.
I have 3 written decisions this evening. Each of them are approvals of the applications. The second one, Chickamauga, is approved as amended. Affirmative vote on the motion would be to approve the application.
This is,
Connemara's the first.
we have Coonamarra. Do you mind?
This is
He was just saying that in the
just
case of
saying
Chickamauga, it's
It's different than
amended. The plans have been amended
Oh, they have?
previously.
you approved amended plans.
Oh, okay. That's correct. All right. So this is,
Connemara.
yeah, this is stamped. Oh, copy. This is the original. Right. So are we ready to vote on this? Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the driveway gates, the written decision for Connemara Corporation on First Neck Lane for the driveway gates.
I second it.
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Okay.
Next is Chickamauga at 500 Captain's Neck Lane. And this is construction of additions and alterations to the existing dwelling.
Have a vote, a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the written decision for Chickamauga on Captain's Neck Lane.
Second it?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
Next is number 9, Main Street.
The next is 9 Main Street LLC for storefront, revised front facade.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the written decision for 9 Main Street LLC.
Second? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Passed. So, all,
Rob, could you provide a copy of the decision? I think there's a spare one in the file to Mr. McCulley.
Sure.
for 9 Main Street,
Correct.
that's marked copy, correct? Oh, God, this is like the great divide. Sorry, sir. I don't know how to get it other than to throw it at you. All right, here, Rob. It's the largest file.
It is better.
Oh, sorry. Unwieldy. Next, driveway gates, non-historic.
10 Pheasant Close.
Is there, oh, you're here. Okay, we missed you.
I think I did it right this time. And then pellets. It's going to be the same request for both residents 10 and 20. The gates should have the appropriate vision see-through.
Ask for a name for a record.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Michelle Davis.
Thank you. And
This is 20, this is 10.
It's the same one, though. You can look, I mean, if you wanted to look at it first.
we're on 10, right? And there are 2 copies of these plans in here?
Yep, there should be, yep.
Okay. So the transparency is 1.5 by 1.5?
You've reduced the height of those panels that were 3 feet to 2.5 feet. Is that
Yes, yes.
And the
The gate is a
see-through
7-foot height.
portion is 4.5 feet. So that all seems, they're white PVC, is that correct?
AZAC. Yep,
AZAC?
white AZAC.
And these are the,
The pillars that they should be going on? The pillars that they will
yes,
be going,
yes,
yep.
yes, ma'am. So how, so the, oh, it is, right. So they're about, these pillars are 7.7 feet 3 inches?
The pillars.
76 inches,
That's 6'4".
6'4", but then,
The gate is a bell style, so it starts off and then, yep.
right, okay. Does anyone have any comments?
No? The applicant's done what we've asked?
Yes.
And now, part of the presentation.
Anyone in the public want to comment on this? All right.
I make a motion to approve the driveway gates for 10 Pheasant Close North.
Second?
Aye.
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 Outstanding.
Okay, you have one more, don't you?
Oh, yes, actually.
Don't leave. 10 and 20 are not the same. They are the same, but they're two
There's no
different
difference, is that correct?
applications.
You're exactly the
Yes.
same.
May I simply make any commentary from the public before we make a motion on the same gates? for
Well, I
the-
think we have to announce it just to make it proper, don't we?
Yeah, call it, but...
Yes, call
you can go
it.
right
20
to it.
Pheasant Close North LLC driveway gates, which are the same as 10 as the ones we just looked at. Is that correct?
Identical.
Identical?
Yes.
In every way?
Every way.
All right. Does
make-
anyone in public, from the public have anything to say about 20 Pheasant Lane LLC's gates? No? All right, then I think we
I
can have
make
the
a motion to approve the gates for 20 Pheasant Close LLC.
Second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Outstanding.
All right, good luck with your gates.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure it was a
I
long
appreciate
process, but you did a good job the second time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No driveway gates historic, so we're on to public hearings. Public hearings non-historic. First is Christopher and Jean Lynch. There's a letter in the file requesting an adjournment until October 22nd.
Council has no problem with the adjournment.
Do we have a motion to approve the letter
Make a
requesting,
motion that we
approve the
approve.
adjournment?
I make a motion that we approve the letter that requests an adjournment for Christopher and Jean Lynch until October 22nd, 2018.
Second? Aye.
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 Next, Asimakis and Marid Ingilis, 5 Potato Field Court. Is there anyone here? This has been on the agenda for quite a few meetings, has it not?
They didn't
This is
come
the
last.
third.
This is the third one.
The third one, they didn't come?
No, the first they came, this is
Oh,
the
I
second
think
that
we
they
have to
haven't
wait
come.
one more.
Do you want
We
to
asked
send a
them to
letter of
read
inquiry?
Could you ask, say that it's on the agenda, we can leave it on the agenda for one more meeting, but we need
Do we
to,
need to move to adjourn, or we didn't really open?
Yeah, make a motion in the absence of any representative of the owner or the board adjourns the application to the next regular meeting and asks Antoinette to send a letter of inquiry to the applicant.
I make a motion that we adjourn, in the absence of any representative, we adjourn the application for 5 Potato Field Court to the next meeting of this board and request that the building department send a letter or notify, reach out to the applicant.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
great. Next, this one's adjourned, do I announce it?
Not necessary?
Okay. Next then is 270 Toilsome Lane LLC, 270 Toilsome Lane. Good evening. And you signed the, I don't know where it went, the list, I know.
I'll be sure to say.
Okay, she needs your, just the spelling of your name for
Ron
recording
Villano,
reasons.
Villano.
Oh, wait, this, uh-oh. This has to go back in the sign.
This is number 10.
We need just 1 second to get our paperwork straight. Thank you.
We had the affidavits for this at the last meeting, so.
Yeah.
we're good.
You gave us the affidavit, yeah, we heard that, we heard him last time, yeah.
I brought some photos of neighboring houses as well as sets for you all. The complete set's in 11 by 17.
Thank you.
We made the changes per the last meeting as far as the side-facing garage, which actually, we got it to work out well and functional. We also did the reverse gambrel over that garage. I do need to shift the house over because I didn't realize that the zoning changed with the pyramid going down to 0 feet at 45 degrees on side
Oh,
property.
so-
I know, I've been out of the loop. But anyway,
So let's move to the east. a little bit.
I didn't move it yet. I'm going to move it. I'll move for next meeting. But if you want to see the changes I made per our last
All
meeting.
right, we will, excuse me, too much rain. We will need to have you come back with the proper
Totally
plans.
understand.
And also, Mr. Broadley was into the streetscape and whole thing, so, okay, but go ahead. I
Okay,
see
so-
that you have made changes.
Yes, we changed the garage.
Is there a set of plans?
Yeah,
It's, the large set's in there.
the large set is so large
I know,
that
it's enormous.
there isn't an office large enough to hold them.
So we keep everything on the computer.
Okay, do you need to, oh, we got enough. Okay.
Here's the side-facing garage. If you want to look at the rendering in the last page, you'll see actually a 3D, how it sits. Second to last page.
Can you reduce the number of windows on the east side?
We did. I don't like it, but it was the hair plug comment.
Sorry.
I forget, I didn't make that.
It was just a little static. I appreciate this.
I thought it was, someone said it was institutional, if I remember.
It brings a lot of nice extra natural light into those rooms upstairs, which is always nice to have. Use less lights, less, electric.
Are there any other changes in these?
No.
That you
Side-facing
point out?
garage, the side-facing garage, the reverse gambrel, and the reduction of those windows on the right west elevation.
Right. Any comments? Even though this isn't really, I don't know if we should comment if it's not the real.
I just wanted you to see this. I
Yeah.
realized that
So there's
I
a
have to
new,
shift
si-
it.
you're going to have a new,
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
and so you're moving the house to the
East.
east? I don't think you can. Can you?
Yeah, you can move it up and over. So
How far up?
it only needs to be a couple of feet, actually. Look at this.
'Cause
Here's the only amount, we only need to move it over about 3 feet.
Okay.
You see the distance here. If you move this 45 over, because it's 5 and 5, since it's 45, it's going to be even the same amount over as is up. So 5, if I look at this dimension, this is about 2 feet in excess, so I only need to move about 3 feet. So if I shift that over, I'm still able to push it back, which gives me still enough, there's more than enough rear yard to stay away from that rear setback while sliding, because that front setback, the front property line's at an angle, so we have to slide it up at that angle and over.
But when you move it to the east, what about the egress wells? That's become an issue at times.
Egress into the garage?
No, those windows. Aren't you moving this house to the east? That's what you're saying? So do the
So if I'm
egress
here
wells
north-
go into the?
No, I'm moving it to the west.
Oh, you're moving it to the west?
Yes.
So it'll
So here, this
come
is
close
east,
to the
that's
brick,
west.
whatever this is you've built out, the patio stones or something closer, the garage?
Yeah, it's just going to shift over. It shifts over.
Well, I have been on Toilsome Lane, All right. I think that's the most,
Yeah, I'll bring back so you see how it sits, but as far as
Okay.
the design goes, I just want to see if you had any other comments with the design, so I know to incorporate that.
well, you did what we asked you, but let's see if there's any public commentary. Thank you.
I did have one question. Just wondering about the height of the two side chimneys. I know the three chimneys appear to be the same height, and the two side chimneys seem to stand up when they're viewed from the north, so the narrow dimension. They just seem,
What do we have?
At the front elevation,
at the front
is
elevation,
north.
just wondering if there's any reason they couldn't come down a couple feet.
That's just per code. Within 10 feet, it has to be 3 foot up at the highest point.
Okay, my
Higher than
measurement
the
was that they were all 10 feet off the ridge lines, no?
No, there's a distance, so it's a horizontal and vertical. So at the horizontal, it needs to be 10 foot within that, then 3 feet above that point.
Okay.
At its closest. So
Thanks. I had different advice from the building department,
Yeah.
but I trust yours.
New York State code is the same, but each building department can make it stricter, not lenient.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the changes, I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Any public comment on this application? Please come forward and state your name.
Good evening, Madeline Benjohn, representing the Southampton Association. So we do want to see the amended plans with the pyramid changed, so I don't have a lot of comments. Our biggest concern with the design is just that, and I think Mr. Broadley mentioned this at the last meeting, is that we just feel that a detached garage would be more appropriate. I know they've realigned the door, but given that this house is grandfathered in under the prior GFA law, so it's larger than any other new house could be going forward, we just feel like the massing would be better broken up if the garage were detached. That's all. Thank you.
It crossed my mind, but I had already had you turn the garage around. Had you looked at ever putting the, it would make it so less invasive. Well, what, in terms of the street, because, it's not, they don't have great big looming houses on at that area.
There's weird houses on that block.
Well, that's
Say it
okay,
nicely.
but they're still not all stretched out.
They're wide, they are stretched out. They're pretty
Okay.
wide, attached garages, and
Well, the one that,
the one that's right next door too.
yes, but I've come to learn that that would be an unlikely one to compare it to.
I mean,
Considering you're knocking down one that
detached
looks
isn't
just like it.
functional anymore because we don't use the horse and carriage as much.
But on this street, there are detached garages, most of them, right?
This is the old carriage house idea. It looks great. We could push it off to the side. I mean, it's an idea, but this purpose,
All right, well, think about it. It would make me happier, but, so you're asking us to adjourn to our next meeting?
Thank you.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application for 270 Toilsome Lane LLC to our next meeting.
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Curtis, can I have your plans?
Oh, you better take mine too. Although these aren't going to be... Next application is Catherine Davis, 127 Moses Lane, construct one-story addition to existing dwelling and accessory pool house. Is there anyone here to represent this applicant? Oh, hi.
And I need the affidavits first.
Do you have affidavits?
It's in there.
Oh, it's in here? Okay, thank you. And state your name for the record, please.
Christopher. Last name is Ang, E-N-G.
Oh. Thank you.
We are proposing a one-story addition to the front of this house and a detached pool house in the rear yard. The finishes on the house will be, on the roof will be asphalt shingles, a dark charcoal on that. The trim on the house is going to be a white PVC, and the siding on this is going to be a cedar, and I have the color at the end of the table. It's going to be like almost a natural cedar for the siding on this.
Are there smaller plans? No small plan. Are there any smaller plans that just show the additions you're discussing?
No, I submitted all large plans.
These are particularly large.
Yes, these are particularly unwieldy for us to deal with. I did look at them, but they're...
What was the trim again, I'm sorry?
The trim is going to be a white PVC.
White PVC.
That's correct.
And the roof shingles, is the whole house going to be reshingled, or just the new addition getting
No,
shingles?
we're going to re-roof the whole house.
Okay.
That's correct.
And the exposure on the cedar shingles,
We're going to do 5-inch.
so right now it's a larger exposure. Are
That's
you going to redo the entire house then?
That's correct.
So the whole house will be a 5.5-inch exposure?
Correct.
Well, here it shows the...
Would you like me to point out on the floor plan where the...
That'd be great. I
Okay.
see its color. It's just, really, it's such close quarters here that we have a very
My
difficult time.
apologies.
Sorry.
This is about a little less than 250 square feet of a one-story front addition on the front of the house.
Right.
We're actually proposing a bathroom and a entry/dining area for an addition, in addition to the existing space. And then
Showing the exterior photos where where the additions are going to take place.
that's correct. So this is the proposed addition.
Thank you.
Okay, and then this is the floor plans and the elevation of the pool house, and the location is shown on the site plan, which is going to be adjacent to the pool, to the east side of the existing pool. And the pool house is around, I think, about 260 or 270 square feet.
All right, well, board members, do you have any comments?
I'll jump in. On the east side, of the addition, there's no windows proposed.
That's correct.
So that's a decent-sized wall, which would be pretty visible down the driveway. Is there a reason that you chose to put no windows?
I think for floor plan and also trying to arrange furniture, it's always nice to have a wall without windows, especially if the furniture is very close to the windows. So I always try to leave.
Fortunately, we can't consider the inside, and from the
Yeah.
outside, it looks a little odd to have that extent of
Big
a
blank.
wall with blank.
Yeah, inside, it's nice to have a blank wall, but out from the outside,
So only
not to mention, it's dark. So I have,
We have substantial windows
well,
on the front of the house. The addition that we're proposing only goes out 10'7". So, I mean, if I added windows, we could. I just feel like I
is it covering?
would want some wall space on the interior of the house.
Was there a window when you're pushed from the push-out beforehand?
No, this is new construction.
Yeah, I know that. Your part,
That's correct.
yeah, but behind it.
Other photos?
There is one window adjacent to the existing fireplace.
So,
The one between the door and the fireplace, or is there
That's
currently
correct.
one to the north, to the east of the fireplace?
Do you have photos of the house as it exists?
I submitted photos,
Pull up the photos.
did the application.
I'd like them too, but I don't see them. Are there photos, did
The
you,
photos on there. It's right there.
oh, right. That's not so desirable either, so where are we going here?
That's why I want you to see the photos.
Okay, but a big blank with a bigger front.
My concern is that, and you're right, the windows in the front are nice, but the way the house is currently landscaped, it's very difficult to see the front of the house. Most people experiencing this house, walking or driving by, are going to look diagonally down the driveway right at that blank wall. So that's the reason for the concern. And I don't know how we get around it, but that's my concern. It's my only concern.
Could you point out on the open plan, 'cause I just can't wrangle the paper anymore, the blank wall, it's up here, I understand that.
It'll be right here.
So why couldn't you put a window there?
There's no reason.
Okay, well, I
that
think we'd like you to put a window there if you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that? Because it is a very blank, I mean, really, when you look at it, so that would be a big help.
Dennis, do you agree, or do you think we're making something out of nothing?
No, I agree that, well, it's never nothing out of nothing, as much as the first start. From a aesthetic standpoint, because it's not a non-functional item, it would actually help, I think, enhance the house, but also from cross ventilation will also help the house become more efficient as well. You open up the windows, you have cross ventilation, you also have more windows for more lighting. I think that it becomes more functional.
Okay.
Anything else? That's a good point. Anything from you?
Yeah?
Window.
See if there's any public.
Let's see, is there any public comment on this application? So are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting where you can present us with the new plan with the window?
The board would consider approving it without, okay. Yes, I'll take an.
I don't think we can do that, but I don't think you have the votes without the window, so,
Presumably, it would be just like the other sort of sashed windows that are on the side of the building, is that right?
Correct.
That sounds like a good way to go.
all right. Are you, I think, unfortunately...
I'll take the adjournment.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we adjourn the application of Catherine Davis at 127 Roses Lane until our next meeting.
Thank you.
Second it?
Aye.
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 Great. Next application, Laura Beth Ravitz, 6 Juniper Lane, construct 2-story dormer addition. Please come up and state your name or spell your name for Antoinette.
Matt Ivans, Suffolk Environmental. Ivans is I-V-A-N-S. I'm here with Stuart Narofsky, the architect.
Could you spell that, please?
Narofsky.
Thank you.
You have affidavits for us?
I do.
Before we start.
We'll do a real quick walkthrough, and then we are here to answer all questions. What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, you saw that.
Okay. So we have an existing one and a half story house that was probably constructed late 80s, early 90s, comprised of 3 bedrooms and a second-story loft. What we're trying to do here is we're going to do some renovation to the first story, the interior, and also construct a second-story partial dormer addition that will measure about 680 square feet. You can see here, these are the existing conditions there now. Another rendering of same. You can see here, this is basically the footprint of the second-story addition. This over here. And here you can see this is the first floor plan proposed layout. So again, there's going to be some interior renovation to that. There's no change to the exterior footprint on the first floor.
Are there changes to the windows in the existing building?
On the first floor, yes.
Yeah.
In the back, yes.
Is that in our application? Can I see the application, please? Continue.
Sorry. But yeah, again, the majority of the work's going to be in the second-story dormer. There's 3 bedrooms existing now. There'll be 3 bedrooms at the end of the day. Everything is going to be basically seamlessly matched, the second-story dormer with the existing house.
So on your application, it says nothing about changing any of the windows of the existing building.
But it should be, is not reflected in the plans itself too, or no?
I think you have to state when you...
Yeah. I mean, how much is going to be the rear of the house, right?
The existing, if I may, the existing bedroom area that's now becoming a TV area opened up to the existing kitchen area is receiving new French doors and windows.
Yes, that should have been on
And they are indicated on the plan, on the submitted plan.
But describe proposed construction and/or demolition. It says construction of second-floor dormer addition, period. So I do not think this is really complete. And the plans, do you have, and there are no smaller plans, right?
Okay.
So I looked, from my perspective, I went and I looked at the dormer addition. I did not look all around your application to find that you were changing the windows, but when you brought out the elevations or these, I suddenly see that this is a whole different look. So, what'll I do, Bo?
You know, I mean,
These are the elevations that are on the
building
plan.
department to determine whether the plans are complete or that submission is complete. If you have issues with it, it's within maybe discretion of the board to request a more specific comment on that part of the document and either
And to have them look at it, too. Do they even know?
Continue this evening or continue it subject to the completion of the document or adjourn it.
Well, my question is, did the building department look at anything other than the dormer addition?
Can't answer that myself.
Okay, well, then I just think that it has to go back to them briefly. And
They have the plans, and the plans clearly indicate the window changes in the former bedroom area.
You can continue the discussion. It's a question of revising the document. That can be done subsequent to your rendering a decision, but you certainly, I think, have enough jurisdiction this evening to discuss this.
Okay, we'll discuss it, but It's much changed. I mean, it's not just minor changes on the exterior of this building, correct? Board?
Well, substantially redoing those windows on the main form in the back.
So your issue is with how
Give me
the
a site plan.
homes built up, not necessarily
have
with
a-
the architecture.
Site.
I'm not even at the architecture.
Would you like to see
I
the
just
site plan
noticed
here?
that the architecture was different from what I thought I was looking at.
We have
I
a
thought it was
picture
more
of the
minimal.
existing rear of the house.
Do you have a site plan in there that Curtis could look at, please?
Right here.
Yeah, it's on the overhead.
Oh, he wants to.
The cover sheet does have the site plan.
Is there a photograph on here of the existing rear of the house?
If not, there should be photos in the application package of the rear as well.
We have them.
Okay, have them?
Yeah, I got that. but we're up there.
This is what's getting changed.
Keep going, see if there's any
I'm not
indication.
gonna
of
pull on there. This is what's changing.
There's no indication on these either, right?
Yeah, to me, this is an administrative issue. I don't mind the windows themselves, what I see of them. It's going to be similar. Are these identical doors that you're proposing, or something
We're
identical?
matching the existing Anderson window systems that are in the house currently.
Including the French doors or sliding?
Including, yes,
sliders over
exactly,
there.
exactly.
Those are other properties.
Matching the shingles, the AZAC painted trim. Everything we're doing is to maintain the existing finishes.
The challenge I think you have, Susan, is administrative.
Yeah, it is.
It's administrative,
not my forte.
which can be taken care of through the building department. I
All right.
think tonight, given that the applicant is here presenting an application for aesthetics, let's have our conversation, discussion about
Okay,
aesthetics.
this
and
needs
then
to
deal
be
with it.
amended within the next few days in the building department for us to continue. Okay, so, comments? How tall is the building now?
Only thing you're adding in height is just
Sure,
that you're not even adding height.
We're not adding any,
Well, it's very flat, though, the roof.
20 feet.
the dormer.
Oh, that's right, I looked this up once before. Okay, never
It's a
mind.
bedroom suite on the second floor.
Right,
Because we eliminated the one on the first floor to make the TV room.
I'm all for TV rooms. Any other comments?
These little homes in that community are
A challenge.
well, they're unique in itself. I think what you're going to do to it, other than knocking it down and starting over, you're just adding additional livable, habitable space in the second floor.
That's a good point, Curtis.
Nothing more that you could do other than that.
No, it's-
Okay, well, I'm-
And there's not even a basement here, and I
There
don't
is
think
not.
they didn't consider knocking it down so they could get a basement, but,
Knocking it down, you probably tried to come up with something larger.
yeah.
So I appreciate that. Anyone else?
Just a factual question, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to see which elevation. I'm looking at A202.
The plans.
And the question is just going to be, it must be to the south. How far to the south does the new wall of the dormer come versus the wall of the existing house on the first floor? Is it the same plane?
A202?
202, yeah. So in the upper sketch, we're looking now at the front of the house, and the dormer's in the upper right, right?
Correct. So it does not come to the front for two reasons. One,
It's not the question, sorry. The question is, the east wall of the dormer, where is that in plane relative to the east wall of the first floor?
in line,
It's exactly in line.
Yes.
Okay.
but there is an existing overhang that creates the horizontal roof line, sort of breaking up the vertical wall.
Yep.
And if you were there on site, you'd see that that particular side is incredibly screened right now. Very dense planted, you can't see any adjacent homes.
I wanted to comment that I thought these plans were fairly, I mean, other than this administrative issue, I thought they were fairly well notated. I thought they were very clear, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Except for the left out part of it, okay.
Maybe not their issue, but thank you.
I appreciate it that you didn't want to knock the house down and you just want to make it bigger. So I don't really have any objections, but you do need to really fix this.
You can take care of the administration.
Yeah, I
I'm a
can get that in
reluctant
tomorrow.
administrator, but I am in a position of having to be one. So if everyone did that, it would be chaos in here.
Appreciate that. Appreciate the latitude. We'll adjust it in a couple of days.
So is there any public comment on this application? It's not. Are we ready to decide? Are there any objections?
This is very helpful, thank you.
So do I have a,
I'll make a motion that we approve the application of Laura Beth Ravitz at 6 Juniper Lane for the construction of second-story dormer addition and change of windows, and with a request or requirement to change your application at the building department.
Second it.
Thank you, Board. I'll get that over to you tomorrow.
aye? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is Bernard and Belinda Reingold, 48 Harvest Lane, construct two-story single-family dwelling with attached garage. Oh, you stayed.
I'm back.
Mr. Villano, okay. They were close by.
Yes, affidavits and photos, and also your 11 by 17 sets.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I've seen it.
Just look at the affidavits quickly. We have the affidavits, so we have jurisdiction.
It's a new construction, two-story house on a flag lot. Front of the house faces north.
I just had a question. After previous application, you came back with another street-facing garage.
It's way back.
I know it's way back,
Yeah.
it's risky.
It's a flag lot.
Got it.
You can't see it at all.
Understand what you're saying. It's very risky.
However,
Even tough to even when you go
It's
go
way back.
go down, it's even tough still yet to see because the existing garage is even closer to the flag portion, and you still can't really see it until you get to the back.
Didn't say I was objecting.
Yeah, I got you. It's
yeah,
funny.
right, that did cross my mind, but
In the
it is
arena.
really far back, so I don't have does this have a big deck on the back, or am I?
No, it's a pergola.
Oh,
Rear pergola. It's not a covered roof or anything. Yeah. I know there was some confusion with a letter that was put into the file, but it's a pergola.
Because it also looked like, you've changed the, it looked like there were full-length windows on the
It
bedroom.
was going to be, but we shortened them. It was going to be full-length
Okay, so
windows
these are
with
new
max
plans,
light.
but the first plans I saw,
Yes, correct.
These
And then
are
we
new plans
updated the set.
tonight?
We updated the set last week, the 24 by 36 inside the folder.
do you mind when last week?
Tuesday.
I was in on Thursday, but anyway.
I'm getting.
Okay. All right.
well, I'm glad the windows aren't as long as they were
So
before.
these are not the same as the plans?
They are updated in there, correct?
These
Yes.
are updated?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what I saw on
Just look at
Friday.
So those reflect, look at the most recent dated stamp on 24 by 36.
This is September 7th, so these are new.
So, all right, so then that's Friday. Yeah.
Today's Monday, I know it's the 10th.
You don't go there on the weekend?
So these are exactly the same, just,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, that one and this smaller set are the same.
So there's one of these or two?
Two.
So you need two.
Two.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I looked at in the building department.
All right, great. Does-
Straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with that.
I actually don't have an issue with the garage. I think it looks okay. But this, what about, since there was a discussion about the change in the pyramid lot, is that affecting this application too, do you know?
I'll have to revisit this one as
Can
well,
you?
but I believe that
Can we, because I don't think there are objections to it, but because there is a change in the law, we need to be sure that,
this one is at, my side setback is 35 feet at the closest. So if you take that 45 and drop it at 5, even when it comes in, it's still going to be at 35 when it intersects. So my roof isn't 35 at that edge.
how tall is the roof?
So if you look at that elevation where it slopes in,
30 feet, 1 inch.
not at that edge, not where it touches that line.
Oh, yeah.
Not where that 36 is. Where that 36 is, it's only probably about 20 foot max. Just to that second floor plate height.
Where's the 36? Isn't that too tall?
The 36 is the distance that it is set off the property line.
but it's
So if I
not-
bring that 45 down at 5, that means 36 and
All right.
36, where it
These-
intersects the pyramid.
Okay, I see 30 feet to the ridge.
We're good. The other one, was wider, so.
Okay. So does anyone, you have any other
I had
comments?
a couple quick questions. The driveway on your plans is showing coming off behind your neighbor's gates. So I assume that's going to change.
We have a shared driveway.
But you're going to share the gates?
Oh, no. It splits off, so his gates are here, and you go into our property here. Even when you approach the property now, you'll see it splits as a Y at the
Okay.
end.
So it's just in front of the gates? Okay.
Correct.
There's a railing around the basements, the cellar stairs on the rear. What's the material on the railing?
At the rear,
The east side of the rear? Yeah.
you only see that from the rear. I don't know if they determined the material. It's going to be wrought iron or cedar or other wood.
Parking, 5 parking spaces are claiming.
I share the head scratch as to why the garage can't come in from the side. There seems to be enough room there. I think even though it is set back, I know this area very well. I walk by it almost every day. But I think your neighbor's
Yeah, I mean, we have-
faces towards you, and
I mean, at this point, you have a neighbor on every side of here, here, so
Whatever you...
I mean, I
it's not
think
about the
this,
street, it's about which neighbor do you want to show you,
Bend.
drop your pants to. It's either his backyard, his side yard, or,
I think what this does is preserve more of the side yard for use by them.
I mean, you have 40 feet for
I think
a
preserving
turnaround,
the
you want a
side
minimum
yard
of
is
30.
important. Everywhere,
Okay.
even on a flag.
Well, then that's the trade-off, is that we're preserving the side yard and using the front for the
Because they're going to
parking
drive
lot.
down the driveway anyway with their headlights, so let's just face it, on a flag.
It's less pavement, too.
I don't know what you mean by side yard or front yard, Rob, but the owner of the flag lot has the option to choose which is the front yard.
Okay. What I was saying, so the east, the area east, by putting the driveway facing the street, they preserve more of the eastern yard for landscaping and lawn.
May or may not be their front yard.
Okay.
Okay, was there a letter in the file from a neighbor?
There was a letter from a neighbor. It related to a concern about the deck.
Which
that-
doesn't
which
exist?
isn't it did appear to be a deck.
That's it,
That was
no.
their concern.
It was just an oversight.
I wrote down deck too, but
Was it to be read?
if it says it's to be read, do we have to
It
read it?
says to be read.
Yes. Dear members of the Southampton Village Architectural Review and Historic Preservation Board, we are writing in opposition to the application for zoning variances. That's not us.
Not the jurisdiction of this board.
No, that's,
I think they used the term incorrectly. If you read the rest of the letter, it is a concern about the deck and not so much, they don't cite a variance
Yeah.
request. It's hard to say. The rest of it is more germane to us, perhaps, although it may be moot because of the plans, clarification.
Sounds like a letter based more on error than fact.
Yes.
yeah, they're in opposition, especially to a second-floor party deck that extends the length of the house.
Which doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
The deck would so I don't,
The letter is
do I
about,
have to read it if it's completely?
No.
Okay.
it's in the file if anyone wishes to see
They're
it.
worried you're attempting to create an outdoor entertaining space attached to the house itself because there's not that much room on the piece of property. If there's no deck, this really does not apply, Mr. Valano, so we'll just let it go.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other discussion here? Okay, are we ready to vote? Anything from, I think I already asked that, didn't I? Did I ask, is there anyone from the public here who wants to talk about this application? No? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the application of Bernard and Belinda Reingold on Harvest Lane.
Second that.
Aye.
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 We don't need them all.
When you make the motion, you feel like you voted.
I know, it's a lot of talking. Here we go. We don't really need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good luck with that. Next is Greg Young and Carol Cutler, 83 Lewis Street, construction of a one-story addition and enclosed screen porch and deck expansion. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Arthur Fraser. I'm the architect here on behalf of the applicants Greg Young and Carol Cutler.
Just a second, sorry. We need
We need to get our papers.
Do you have an affidavit of posting as well?
Yeah, I already
Oh,
handed
she
it.
has it?
Mailing I have. Need an affidavit of posting as well.
Yes. Good. Oh, isn't that the posting?
This is
about-
affidavit of mailing, so we don't have
Posting is
jurisdiction
the
otherwise.
sign.
Yeah, the sign is posted. I thought both were in there.
Let me see if it is. I don't see it. Disclosure. Okay. Again.
Want someone else to do it, like when you use your keys?
Let's go to work. Application for public hearing. Just a moment, this I do not see it. Disclosure affidavit, but we don't have an affidavit of posting.
So we have no jurisdiction unless we have that. Keep going, just in case. We're coming up empty, Mr. Fraser.
So should I proceed and bring it in later, or what should I do?
Here, correct? Or
What's, counsel?
You know,
I know.
there's some discretion involved here. If Mr. Fraser can make the representation that was posted, that he can get the affidavit in the morning, you can abide
Do
by
that?
that representation.
Yes, I mean, it was definitely posted.
Was there an affidavit of posting?
Yes. I mean, I remember doing the two affidavits, so I don't know if I
Okay.
lost it or
a
didn't.
total of three. There's a disclosure affidavit, a mailing affidavit, and a posting affidavit. So the disclosure affidavit allows someone to sign off on the posting in the paper, correct?
Is that in the file?
It is. And then there's a mailing and a posting affidavit separately from that.
All board members had the opportunity to do a site visit and saw that there was a marker on the property,
Yeah.
which we determined that it was. He's basically
Okay.
affirming that he's posted the
All
property.
right. So you're going to need to go in and fill out the
Okay.
posting affidavit.
Got it.
So continue, Mr. Fraser.
Thank you. Now I'll just spread to just two sheets. I think you have the small sets in the file?
Do you
Or
consider
five.
this small?
No. There were the 11 and a half.
Well,
Is this a small set?
Yeah, those ones that Christine, this is letting
There are several copies of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you had, our names were written on them, now I remember. Do you want yours, Curtis?
That's okay, I've seen it.
This is a
It's
whole.
the age of the house.
All right, I might leave this one for Jeff.
Not-
Well, I mean, it's not, yeah, I don't recognize this side.
Well, here, maybe, would you like one,
Have a
Zach?
picture?
Here,
You know what the age of the house is?
Picture's worth it now.
no.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
1910?
Yeah, I think it's the same as the one next door. I just did 91 Lewis Street, and that was 1910.
So, well, it should have gone to,
I think they were done around the same time.
It didn't,
should have been
In
seen
the
by,
his, it's in the wrong,
it's,
it should have been historic.
26,
not that it's historic, but it should have been reviewed by
yeah.
Zach before we've seen it.
And honestly, this, you know, these things happen over the years. This could have been some time ago. I don't remember looking at this. I'm not saying that I didn't, but I don't recall
Well, I don't,
being
this
told
is,
to look at it.
oh, you mean previously? Well,
Well, things happen, you know, I mean,
Us over 100
so
years old.
this would be, I have issues with this because I don't like that the front is changed.
you know,
That,
I just don't recall having gone out to look at it. It could have happened some time ago, and I just don't remember. I
well,
wouldn't be able to look
we
that up
need you to
now.
go out and look at it?
I think as part of protocol, you should do some type
I
of...
think you need to go look at it. And I actually am concerned because I like that the historic facade, and once you put something over here, I think it changes the symmetry of what's presented to the street.
Definitely.
So, that being said, proceed.
Okay. Well, the applicant would like to add on a 206 square foot family room and enclose an existing screen porch and expand an existing wooden deck. The proposed family room is a single story, 14 foot high. Would use all the same materials and finishes as the existing house, and the new windows would have the same 2/1 mullion patterns. The added enclosed space is 458 square feet, which is 18% of the existing GFA, and the additional new space of the family room deck would increase the lot coverage by 12%. And I understand what you're saying about how it presents itself to the front, but it is set back about 60 feet. And the problem is, because of the nature of the lot, I couldn't figure out anywhere else to put it. If we put it further back, then it closes in their sunroom. And so there's really, it's very limited in options of where to do the addition.
I hear you. It just, I have a job and you have a job.
Yeah. I understand. I just know from the street, it's only visible by 10 feet.
Well, it
And it's
just
about
throws off
60
the
feet back.
symmetry of what you, I mean, I find it very pleasant to drive down Lewis Street and see
Yeah,
these village houses.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that you'll even see it from the street, but
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
Anyone else?
The problem is if we moved it further back, it would enclose their screen porch, because my initial instinct was to move it back, put it next to the screen porch, but then it would only have 2 out of the 3 walls, and, put the deck further back. So, that would virtually sort of close them in that corner. So it seemed, after searching the site, it seems like unbelievably the only place that such an addition could go.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what your challenges are. It's a one-story addition protruding out 10 feet from the house, hidden back, should say, kind of screened back from hedges. I think in this particular style of house, this is how homes have evolved over time. There have been annexing additions and small little protrusions, and that's the reason why we have some of the configurations that we have, especially in this particular area. What I would always be concerned with is homes, especially specifically in Lewis Street, that look like long accordions, just long homes, long facades. That deviation, I think, gives a little character rather than just having yet another extension off the rear, extending it even further and giving a longer facade. However, I still have concerns more that for procedural purposes, that we don't have any history on the building, any specifics on the house. There could be portions of the house that are not historic, and I think that's where we're lacking in terms of information we need.
The place we're adding on was added on, so it's not added on to the original house.
Yeah. Right. I can do it.
Okay, for next time. Because I really, okay, well, I'll wait till then. Because the other, you just added on where you went back, right, next door, wherever?
Yes, but they didn't have an existing screened-in porch that they were enclosing into a
Right, well, sometimes you can't always have everything.
everything.
Yeah, you're already closing in the screen porch, extending the deck.
But then to Curtis's point, we're going back and back and back. So this thing will become, 100 feet long from east to
Perhaps.
west.
Well, we'll see. Anyone else?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but why no, is there a reason why there are no windows on the street facing?
In the street.
wall?
Just because they wanted the privacy factor from that other room.
You haven't met blinds or curtains?
I do take some, Susan, I get concerned about losing historic forms,
Yeah.
so I share your concern. I tend to believe this is set far enough back that with a little bit of landscaping, I know we can't rely on that, even without, it may not take away from...
It just looks like it skews it to me.
But
Although I love the straightforwardness of the,
Yeah.
as it stands, and I feel like once you add that, it throws it way off.
These houses of this era also have pretty regular fenestration to them. And it's just odd to see, this looks a little bit like a shed that should be
Yeah.
detached.
Well,
Looks like
I
a
agree with that,
utility
too.
space instead of part of the home.
I argued for a window on that side, so it was the client who, didn't want windows,
Well, that's,
privacy
if it
factor.
weren't for that, I'd be relatively convinced that this is far enough back, but I think there's a chance through hedges and all that you would see it, and it just looks odd to me. So that's my only comment.
All right. Anything else?
No, I agree with them.
So are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting so that we can hear what Zach has to say?
Sounds like, yeah.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
And I'll speak to the clients about some windows on that facade.
No, there's no public comment?
If they don't want to do it, it would help me to consider this again to see a perspective drawing, something that showed maybe a little more realistically what this might look like from the street with some shadowing or perspective. That would help me get comfortable, perhaps or not, but
Okay.
couldn't hurt.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, motion to approve the applicant's request to adjourn to our next meeting?
I make a motion that we accept the applicant's request for 83 Lewis Street, Greg Young and Carol Cutler, to adjourn to our next meeting.
Second.
Aye.
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 Great. Next, there's Thomas and Meredith, public hearings historic. Thomas and Meredith Joyce, there's a letter in the file requesting an adjournment until November 26, 2018.
This is a new letter?
Yeah,
At our last meeting,
today's letter.
you had mooted the idea of us pushing this entirely
Striking it.
off our agenda and asking them to come back to us
I
without
have
prejudice.
communicated that to council. Council advises us in that letter that the owner has commissioned a appraisal of the property to move forward with this. So I think based upon the good faith effort that's being made, that it's not unreasonable to adjourn it to the November 26th meeting.
Have we heard one meeting on the hardship yet?
No.
So there hasn't been any formal application before us to discuss hardship. It'd be any issue or hardship for us to have the applicant refile? I mean, I could see if we had one and there were outstanding questions, but this has been adjournment after adjournment after adjournment without hearing it once.
Right.
Before that, too.
I've been on the board now for 6 months, and it was adjourned for a shortly to come meeting at that point.
Yeah.
Would you want to
I
deny
have no
the
problem with you
request?
declining the request. As you know, it is in litigation,
So
and that has been pending also. There has been more than enough time for the applicant to come forward, but there have been some extenuating circumstances in the death of the husband, and I don't know what condition the surviving spouse is, but
You don't need to go into specifics if you don't want to. Is there a reason why it's November 26th and not sooner than that?
I did not discuss with Mr. Bennett the date to which the adjournment would be made.
I would even venture to say that the length of time of this would have to be reposted and mailed
Yeah,
anyway.
couldn't agree more.
Therefore, we should just have
All
the
right,
applicant
so
come back
we're
before
going to
us.
deny the request, is that correct?
So I make a motion to deny the request of the applicant to adjourn this and to otherwise remove it from our agenda
Without
prejudice and in anticipation of potential reapplication.
I second that.
Aye.
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 So denied the request to adjourn and struck from the... Okay, next, Christopher and Kimberly Allen, 244 North Main Street, second floor additions and construct accessory pool house.
Hello, I'm John Laffey, architect for Mr. Allen, owner of Butler's.
Do you have affidavits of posting and mailing?
We do.
Oh, we do?
We do,
Okay. Great.
That's Lewis.
Sorry, it should all go in this.
All right, I think we need a moment to do our housekeeping.
I think we're set.
Oh,
So
okay.
this just goes inside.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I give you small sheets as your
Be great.
Woman to
To anyone.
internet to be.
We're in Siberia back here, we can't get to anything.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Can I start?
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
please.
Okay. Good evening. We're here to request a proposal to build 2 additional suites onto the back of the residence at the Butler's Manor. The new additions are being located directly over parts of the existing back of the rear of the house, which has I wouldn't say they're flat roofs, but they're less than 2-1-12. They're sort of low-pitched roofs where there's currently one is a small railing and one there's no rail at all. And the goal is to try and to allow Mr. Allen additional bathrooms where his current bathrooms are, and make his 2 bedrooms the luxury suites. And can you hear me if I talk here?
Yes, it's fine.
Thank you very much.
So on these plans, there's no existing
Sorry, the existing is here.
in these plans?
I must have mistaken.
I don't know.
I apologize.
I'm asking you
It must
because
not be
it's
advertised.
not,
I didn't see them.
I don't see them.
My
Okay.
apologies. I thought you were in the set.
Okay.
This is the existing front facade? And this is the existing front facade? So essentially, the back of the entire project is being held in the back of is being put into the two flat roofs in the back of the house? So,
You said existing twice, you mean the proposed? I
sorry, the
mean-
existing is here?
Yes.
And this is the this is the existing, the proposed, you can see a little bit of it right there. That's in the front facade. On the facade to the south, there's a flat roof here, over this area right here. We want to put the second story right here. These two windows would be inclined to here, and we'd like to carry this roof line from this existing roof over to here. So we've infilled this area here
Right.
with the addition. On the back facade is where all of the real work is really sort of occurring. These are the existing windows here in this front, on this back elevation.
Could you speak in terms of north, east, south, and west instead of pointing and saying this and that? Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the easterly side of the project, or this is the back of the house. And you can see the back of the house has a little, like pergola and a little entry, and two railings right here. And we're going to put the new addition right on top of these, and infill this area in the middle where the two bathrooms would go. And this is on the back of the house. And on the side of the house, which is over here, picture of it, north side. This is on the north side. Thank you very much for helping me. We have Chris's office here. We're going to be putting a second story on that. And I thought, because there's a large flat roof over here on this portion of the house, I thought we might do a wee little tower to sort of end that facade and to give it a little more identity onto its own to help that facade. We also took out the yellow shingles on this chimney. We'd like to make it brick.
Thank you.
We don't like shingled chimneys.
Well, that's that chimney box right there. We'd like to make that look brick because I think it's not very attractive. And the only other facade change would be currently on this side of the house.
What side, sir?
This is the north side. There's a big blank wall there that you can all see, and there's no windows in that facade at all. And we thought it might be nice, guess that's where the stairwell is inside the house, that maybe we might have some cascading windows to bring in more light into that side of the house. And also as part of the application, we would be matching the window trim, window details, and in general the only real change in materials would be, we were thinking maybe potentially a metal roof on that, but it could also, there's asphalt shingles on the house right now, and I didn't know if I wanted to put more asphalt shingles on it, but we could if that were a concern.
What is the age of the house?
So the age of the house, the original part of the house, now maybe I can have Chris, would you mind if the owner come up and spoke this a bit? But this is about
1830?
1860, 1865.
Okay.
Between them.
Can you go up closer to the table when you speak, please? Thank you.
And the area we're proposing these additions were put on, these were additions that were put on sometime in the, Chris thinks it's sometime in the 1970s?
70s. I have photographs from the previous owners that will show that portion that we're intending to cover was not even there in 1970.
That?
I missed that part. Something wasn't there.
The part there,
This portion of this portion of the back of the house, these additions.
Right, that's all an addition.
That's an addition as well.
And those were put in between 1970 and 85, at some time between them.
But the main body
Before
of
the
the house.
historic district was created.
That's just,
like 1 year before?
Yeah.
Great.
And also part of the application is that we were asking for a pool house in the back of the property, which we have an elevation of. We'd like to see that.
That has a little metal roof, too.
This would have the architectural asphalt shingles and not a metal roof. This would have the architectural asphalt shingles.
Then a standing seam over the on the dormer, I think.
Yes, well, we thought we'd try and match a little detailing with the main house, with the little house, little pool house.
Well, I think we're going to have Zach.
I'll have a few questions.
Oh, good.
I'm even questioning the photograph. This was back in the day when we took photographs and then we took glue and we pasted the pictures on blue paper. This is known as a blue form in 1979. I'm wondering if this is indeed the house. Could you take a look at that? I'm not trying to cross-examine, I'm just saying, thank you, because I'm looking at this house and I'm saying to myself,
No, it's 224.
that ain't the house. The roof pitch is wrong, there's an attic window, the side wing is too small.
It's 224.
So this is deceptive because our records show a different house in a survey that was done in 1979, so we have to
Start over. Okay.
Okay. I am wondering what's happening, at the very least, in your present home, you do have a window in the attic.
Correct.
It's a little circular thing that doesn't look
It's
up to
functional.
the
actually.
task.
No, it's functional.
Great.
It opens.
Oh, it does?
You actually take the...
So what happens
thing
to
and
it in your
spin
plans?
Nothing. We're not touching this part at all. It's this part that we're talking about.
I don't mean to be picky. I was just curious because I was picking...
This is, what he's saying is it's a drafting error, my mistake.
This actually is
That's not moving.
Yeah, this is a talking point for a lot of people in the village because in the 70s and 80s, they used to rent that bedroom.
Scary.
And there was a three-story atrium in the middle of the house.
So what you're saying is that window's going to remain?
That's going to stay.
It will.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So it's existing and it's going to remain, so that it's not... Okay. I didn't know what was happening. I'm also wondering, when you look at this picture, because we're looking forensically at the house, which got this whole wing, but you can see the window, this little window here, is very close to the wall where it comes back. Is that being moved?
No. No, it stays.
Because it looks much better in your drawing than it does in the photograph. So, I just thought maybe you're adjusting.
We don't have a drawing.
No, we're not touching that at all.
What's there now, so you can't look.
Which window are we talking about?
Okay, when you're looking at the two-story addition to the north of the main block of the house, there's a window that's situated almost right in the corner. And I'm just saying that window has moved a little bit. It looks much better in the rendering, but I was just wondering what's happening with the window.
That window will not move.
It's just impossible.
I guess my overall reaction is, the house kind of grows over time.
Right.
This way it goes back, this way it goes up. I think with those many additions, we're beginning to lose some sense of what the original massing and structure was. And I don't know that just going up on existing additions off the back is justification for that much additional enlargement. So
you need to go.
I would like to, there may be a more successful way of increasing the house even more.
Zach, since the blue sheet's incorrect.
Yeah.
Inaccurate.
That makes
it kind of loses, I don't say it loses its designation, it just doesn't classify it.
Well, but
document it.
They might find
it makes it harder to document.
Okay.
But
then it also makes it harder or difficult for you to figure out what portions have been now altered, and now has it been altered to a degree where it no longer.
Well, the front of it's just...
Front's not changing.
It still reads as a historic house. I mean, the front doorway has been changed. This whole addition is this exterior chimney, whether it's shingled or brick. Right.
In 1970.
Right. So, I mean, it's an old house, it's a contributing feature, and it has a lot of architectural features that warrant that status, but...
And none of that is changing.
But you're introducing more contemporary
Yeah.
designs.
Right, and you're
No, I
making...
wouldn't say contemporary.
I would argue more traditional
Yeah,
designs.
I would
that
say
are-
it's a traditional design. I mean, we're looking to bring something that is, basically gives me more space that I can bring in to blend in with the rest of the house. Now, if you don't like this tower, then we can take the tower out and continue with a flat roof. But that, to me, looks, and to John, looks like it's boring. I mean, it's down to you guys.
Wow.
Well, there's more,
You choose.
more than
Fortunately,
that.
homes in a historic district sometimes are boring. It's just unfortunate, and I understand what you're saying. You want to bring something more up to date, more traditional. But that's kind of the challenge, trying to balance that traditional with historic.
Oh, exactly.
And the question is, has it been done successfully? I want to know more about the building before I actually make that
I
recommendation.
have to agree. So we're going to need to have,
If I could do a site visit and sort of assess the impact of all this new massing that's going on in the back, because certainly a pyramidal roofed tin, whatever the material is, I mean, that'd be an appropriate material, but a small pyramidal roof tower coming up in the back is architecturally not all that compatible with,
I find,
Didn't we have that in the rest of the village?
so.
I think
So anyway,
that,
that's one of.
and the fenestration is disturbing to me too. It's just calling out that it's extra.
We're talking about the lead roof. I mean, the
here.
metal roof. Oh, okay.
The detailing on top, the panels, you mean, on top of the tower?
Yeah, and
We can take a look.
what's happening here? What is,
Those are existing.
what?
Those are existing windows.
Those are existing windows?
Yeah,
'cause it's
there's
like a
nothing
70s
happening on the
edition.
first floor. All it is covering a deck on the
Well, but
second floor.
then, the second floor,
Which is a roof deck. It's not even a deck.
It's a roof with a railing in front of it.
Yeah, it's a roof with a railing.
You're
All
saying
we're
it's
Not what I'm
proposing is
looking
to
at.
make that back bedroom bigger.
I understand your need to make it bigger. I just have questions about the design. I personally find metal roofs to be not appropriate for historic houses. I really don't. I think that they're like a contrivance that people have dreamed up here lately, and that they call attention to additions that we don't want to call attention to necessarily.
Understood.
And that,
I could change the material
then
to match the existing.
and we have to find out more, but and I think the design calls such attention to itself when what would be, if you're making, I don't know, I need to hear from Zach, but if you're enlarging it and, quote, improving it, it would seem to me that it should be, I don't know what the right word is, calmer, less busy perhaps, less calling attention to the fact that you're expanding when there may have been bad things that were done in the 70s, but I don't think we have to go too far. I just think it calls attention to itself in a very strange way. The fenestration, everything.
Is the chimney getting any bigger?
No.
It looks huge.
It is huge.
Is it
That's
a big
why-
fireplace? It's a double?
No,
Okay, well, it's there. I guess we can't do much about that. Even
it
the,
was put in 1970 to allow for
golly.
a floor.
Yeah.
From
Shame
the-
on them.
Would you like the chimney to go?
No, don't you need the chimney?
No.
Zach?
If you don't need it, let's take it out.
We don't, an
There's
extra,
nothing in it.
that's just one more element that calls
Yes.
attention to itself as being a.
Extra.
Kind of a modern
Put
Yeah.
in the 70s.
addition. If you don't need that chimney, I think the board
That
would
would
much
be a
prefer
massive
it.
improvement.
Oh.
Take it out.
You're sure there's no, it
There's
doesn't
nothing
do
in it.
anything?
There's nothing. It was put in 1970 for an oil-fired boiler. Therefore, we took the flue up. When it was changed over to natural gas, we didn't need it.
Oh, okay.
It's done.
Interesting.
Oh, and it also contained an obsolete duct from the first floor air conditioning to the master bedroom existing on the second floor. but that is now obsolete
So that's-
because I
so
changed
we can-
everything into central air.
So the consequence of that then would be to have a stretch of 16 to 20 feet of bare siding.
Bare
So
siding.
can we have windows?
Sure.
Because I'd love to get more
Yeah, you
light
could
into
drop
the
a
house.
window right
It's
in.
pretty dark inside.
Yeah, I don't,
That might be better.
I think that would make it, that part would look better. Now we just have to go to
And I
this.
think your bank of windows, although it's very creative,
Yes.
You can tone it down.
It's just as another,
We can talk down.
another fancy part that calls attention to itself. I don't know how else to describe it.
devil's in the details for it.
I got it.
Right. So we're getting somewhere, but not quickly is what I kind of feel. But getting rid of the chimney is an amazing improvement. And the cascading windows, I mean, I think you
You can tone it down.
try to come up with some other idea for the windows, perhaps. I think having light there is great, no problem. And then the metal roof, I do have the busyness of this proposed fill-in addition. So maybe you can simplify it in some way. I don't want to tell you what to do because I don't know what you should do. The tower,
So it's just, for me, it's just a question of, so it's trying to diminish as much of that flat roof that was put on as sort of possible, as a way of trying to, having that tower bite over that a little bit to try and minimize the flat roof, but I'll work, I can tone it
well,
down.
if it weren't metal and maybe,
I can go back to asphalt, like, I can go back to the existing roof.
I'm not so down on the tower, I just think it's busy.
I can remove that fenestration up on top where you see it's got a bunch of panel work going on. I can take all that out.
Is that fenestration or panels?
I couldn't tell.
Just panels.
Panels.
Oh, it's panels?
It is sort of visible to the street, but it's pretty, it's kind of in the back. You
toward
really
the
got
back,
to,
but I mean-
stand in his driveway to look at it. But yeah, I don't disagree.
All right, well, maybe, so Zach, you're going to do this for our next meeting?
Yes.
Do you then want to wait until we hear from Zach to do any changes?
Well, I think
Zach?
we have enough to go on anyhow right now.
Yeah,
I think.
I think you do, and I'll meet
Okay.
with you, and you can show me.
I mean, okay, great. So you guys can work that out together?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Can I ask a
yes?
couple other questions? Sorry. Can you just go through the siding materials again? Because I'm seeing different exposures. What is the siding right now on the house?
Cedar shingle,
Cedar shingles.
painted.
And it's what, 14-inch exposure for most of it, and
It's
smaller exposure, 8-inch
at least
exposure?
14 inch.
But do you have a smaller exposure on the back currently? Because it looks like you're drawing in a smaller exposure.
Yeah, on the back, because they were put in the 70s, so they were put in as smaller exposures.
And you're matching that on the tower all the way up? Okay.
Go
that's
back to
cedar.
the back with the back.
Yeah.
Okay. And am I seeing on the walkway, on the second floor fill-in, in the middle of the house, are those applied pillars or pilasters
No.
outside the windows?
No. You walk out of the back door, and there's a small wooden deck.
Yes. so
Second
the-
floor?
Yes.
On the second floor, all it is just a pergola. That's it.
These are, what he's really saying, these are
No, no.
applied, these are applied
That's what I'm
piles
wondering.
right there. If you want me to tone it down, I can get rid of it.
It's part of what makes it busy. I know that's not very visible, but I think less may be more in that area as well as on the tower. Let me just see if I had any other clarifications.
So we're removing
No,
these
that's it.
pilasters and that chimney.
Christina, anything?
No, I think you will cover it. Anyone
You're good to go?
interested to hear what Zach
All right,
comes up
so are
with.
you asking us to adjourn to our...
Sorry.
We are.
Do you want to ask for public comment?
Oh, yes. Is there any public comment? I thought I already did. Maybe I didn't. Well, there isn't any. So are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting?
Yes, please.
Motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of
Thank you.
Christopher and Kimberly Allen of 244 North Main Street to our next meeting.
Second? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you want these back right now? We have two copies.
Do you need it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application, Glenn and Claudine Nussdorf, 210 Meadow Lane, construct a two-story, single-family dwelling with attached garage, demolish existing structures.
check the affidavits. Do you have affidavits?
Just get it.
We have the affidavits of posting and mailing. There seemed,
Books for you.
there was some discussion in the building department about the height of this proposed building. Do you know if that issue has been resolved? Do you know anything about this?
Yes, I do, and I'm Chris Coy, Barnes Coy Architects.
Thank you, and
This is Lauren Richards, Barnes
Thank
Coy
you.
Architects.
we're going to have small plans.
Yes, we had a surveyor go out there. We have the document. The proposed house is 4 feet shorter than the existing house, so we don't see how height's going to be a problem.
Well, I'm not in the zoning department, but we have rules about how high a new house can be.
Well, it's a foot and a half less high than the maximum height permitted, and it's 4 feet less high than the existing house.
Well, you're knocking down the existing house, so it has no
Yeah,
bearing.
but the point is, this project is...
Oh, you have it, I'm sorry.
This project is characterized by retreat. We're retreating behind the coastal erosion line, and we're making the house less high than the existing, and in fact, we're keeping a foot and a half below the permitted maximum height. So I don't see how
So
high
what was the controversy?
Well, there was some person who came into John's office, and she was concerned about what this might look like from the parking lot, but, you know, we have covered that in our presentation. We have photographs of the parking lot. We also, after our presentation, we have Dan Thorpe from Chris LaGuardia of Landscape Architecture, who's
Right,
going to make
I
this.
actually noticed that in the certificate, could I have the application, certificate of appropriateness, that someone had filled out that this particular proposal could not be seen from a public right-of-way, when in fact it can be seen from the road and from the beach. Do you know who did that? So that needs to be amended before, I mean, we're willing to listen to your application,
Well,
but
what does it say? Who wrote that?
I didn't memorize it, sir, I'll have to look. This is not... Someone named something Farweiler?
Justin Fulweiler. He's the builder.
Well,
we...
on this, so this is a required form that needs to be filled out, and it is erroneous because it says, are the effects of the proposed work visible from a public street, other right-of-way, or a park? And the answer to that question is yes, but they have checked off no.
No, we're not the author of that document. That might be a simple mistake,
Well, this is
but...
part of the application, sir, and it needs to be correct. I'm sorry that I'm in an administrative capacity here, but I am, and it is my job to make sure that everything is filled out properly. And to just let one go, the next time someone comes, then we'll have to be arguing about this again, which
we
I
shouldn't
don't
let
want
it go.
to.
We could just check the yes box, because we have the documentation here in photographs and renderings of what can be seen, what can't be seen. So if that's just a simple mistake, a stroke of the pen, I don't know why Justin...
I don't know, Justin, I don't know why either. Counsel, can you help us on this? Can they correct it and initial it? They didn't fill it out, though. That's the problem.
Who didn't fill it out?
Justin someone.
He didn't fill it out.
He didn't fill it out.
The author should submit a letter to the building department tomorrow, either submit a new form and amend it, or submit a letter explaining the situation and then saying that there was a mistake and it should be yes instead of no. You could hear the discussion this evening, subject to that correction.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll have Justin, who does he submit that to?
The building department.
All of this is part of the same folder,
Yeah,
sir.
okay.
Including all the plans, everything goes in the same folder.
So here are photographs, and they're in your book there. So these are composites. The photographs are real. In fact, these I took myself. And then we have software in my office where we set the rendering of the proposed building at the proper height on the grade, and you can see exactly what's visible and what's not visible. So that's, in fact, the screening that exists now, You can hardly see anything, and the owners don't want to see.
The Cooper's Neck parking lot?
Yeah, they don't want to see the parking lot any more than the parking lot
So
wants to
that's
see
also
them.
like a park. We've got three categories on that thing that was filled out wrong. Go on.
I don't know what park that would be referring to, but...
The beach.
Is that oh, the beach? Well,
Yeah.
if you walk down the ocean, you can see every house on the ocean, so...
That's right, and that's a public right-of-way.
Yeah, so, I mean, he should have checked yes, obviously.
Okay.
So that, we'll have that corrected. But in the photographs that you'll get to that I have on the table here, that's an accurate representation of the proposed new house with the existing screening. So if more screening were required, we have the landscape architects here have some site sections demonstrating that with very little new screening, we could remove it from view completely from the street or from the parking lot. That's not difficult to do. On the inside, this will be of interest to you, Zach. So on the inside cover here, we have a letter from Alistair Gordon. You know Alistair, right?
Not intimate.
Well,
I know of, certainly.
Yeah, right. So,
historian.
well, he wrote the authoritative book on
Yes.
Norman Jaffe.
He wanted to make the
And the
point.
exhibit.
Yeah, the exhibit. He wanted to make the point that this house is not a significant Jaffe house. In fact, it's a rather mediocre Jaffe house. And for that reason, it's not included in this book, which is why I brought a copy of this book. So,
Okay, thank you.
we don't think the demolition of this is going to be any loss to anybody. And we're also demolishing the tennis court. So I think I'd like to cover the aspects of retreat. That the new house is behind the coastal erosion line, which is very important. It's designed to be hurricane and impact resistant according to the latest FEMA standards. So everything here in red is what we're demolishing. The gray is what we're proposing. Here's the coastal erosion hazard line. So we're pulling back. We're demolishing the pool as well, which violates the coastal erosion hazard line. The current house was built in '81, and it's not built to withstand hurricanes. It's not on piles. The building department would like to see this on piles, so this is designed to be on piles supporting reinforced concrete grade beams and pile caps. So this thing is going to be actually beyond FEMA standards for hurricane and impact resistance. And the window and door systems, we designed them, and they're going to be custom made to that standard as well, to 140 mile an hour winds and the impact requirements of flying windborne debris. So now I guess that the consideration is the architecture, and this is a very, very simple rectilinear form. It's, we would like to hear your comments about it. Talk about the neighbors. Yes, and there's also in the first page of the book, there's the letter from Alistair Gordon, and then right under his letter, there's a letter of support from the only neighbor, which is the neighbor to the east, Kelly and Jay Sugarman. Yeah, you got it?
I have 2 copies if anyone's missing.
That's all right. We read them. Okay.
So that's kind of consistent. You know the Sugarman house. It's another long rectilinear simple form, and this sort of carries that aesthetic.
There'll be any
to the next
glazing
level.
on the windows? There's a substantial amount of windows in the glass. There'll be any glazing on the windows, reflective
glazing
over the windows? The windows, so it's just going to be open. It's just going to be clear, transparent windows.
Oh, they're
There'll be
totally
glazing.
transparent windows, yeah.
Well, I meant, so there's not going to be any glazing, any tinting or anything on the
Oh, no
windows?
tinting, no. No, we hate tinting.
So,
Some protection.
You would have to step forward. He's going to yell at you for speaking back there.
and you would have to identify yourself, please.
I'm Robert Barnes from Barnes Architects, and there is a substantial amount of shading in the back facing south. So we like to keep the windows pretty transparent, and they're low E glass. And as Chris has pointed out, they resist 140-mile-an-hour winds, which is, that's going to happen.
The way things are going, too bad it's not up, we might be able to do it. So I had asked Zach to just acknowledge Norman Jaffe, the fact that, and I wonder if he could just say a few words, because I realize that our jurisdiction does not allow us to protect this house, but Norman Jaffe was an architect of the East End, and we don't want to just
I worked
let
for
it
him for a
go
couple of
past
years.
without acknowledging it. So, Zach?
Sure. Well, I think procedurally there is first the certificate of appropriateness to demolish. That is the first procedural before you get to. And so apropos of that, of course, given the importance of Jaffe, I thought it, as to Susan, it would be important to get into the record a kind of an appreciation or a sense of what this building is and what is to be lost, perhaps in the context of moving forward, as we all do. So very briefly, I just have an outline that I'd like to put into the record for the edification of the board and to the public who's here. Norman Jaffe, who was a major architect of the 20th century, died in 1993 at the age of 61, having drowned swimming in the ocean near his home. He had located his architectural practice to Bridgehampton from New York in 1973. He's credited, along with fellow architects Charles Gwathmey and Richard Meyer, with creating the so-called Hamptons style. Jaffe's style borrowed from distinctive shapes and construction materials such as the iconic saltbox house and its shingle facades, creating a strikingly modern and sculptural form. I found the letter quite interesting from Mr. Gordon saying this is perhaps not his greatest work. I suppose all architects are subject to these judgments. So fasten your seatbelts. But it seems to me the way you're planning to construct this new house, it will be much more difficult to demolish than which is a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing.
Yeah. Jaffe produced over 600 projects during his 35-year career, 50 houses alone on the east end of the island, ranging from small weekend getaways to large summer estates on the dunes, such as this house, which our files indicate was constructed in 1986. I know that date goes back and forth. It doesn't matter, somewhere in the 80s. Jaffe was, of course, subject to a major retrospective of his work at the Parish Art Museum in 2005, entitled Romantic Modernist, The Life and Work of Norman Jaffe. And, of course, Alistair Gordon, curating that exhibit, also brought out the book by the same name, which you have here. Ironically, the house dates from about the same time that the Southampton Village Historic District was created. And although clearly a major work by a celebrated architect, the house is simply not old enough to achieve historic status, which is, of course, what governs the criteria for landmark designation. Simultaneously, we should realize the National Register of Historic Places uses a sliding cutoff date of 50 years to recognize buildings of any kind as being eligible for nomination. And so currently that date falls in the mid to late 1960s. And so that alone is 20 years prior to the construction of this house. So clearly the current code and mechanisms within the village to preserve a potential landmark, anything dating from after the World War II period, simply don't exist. And so, this board can only recognize, a house of some architectural significance, and we can all hope that time treats his work more kindly. And as we move forward, perhaps some of his work will survive long enough to be acknowledged and recognized and protected, as I think it should be.
Thank you. Thanks, Zach.
Zach, may I ask you, how many other Jaffe houses exist? My recollection is that there are two on the far western edge of Meadow Lane, and then maybe one further east of this project.
The Bliss House is further east.
Yeah, and
one across from the Meadow Club, sort of.
And it's not just houses.
That's
of course,
Orst.
he did other projects. Synagogue in
East Hampton has a lot.
Here in the village, I'm wondering. I think
We
there
don't
are
have
two
many.
down near the State Park. I believe, I know there's at least
there's
one, but I
one.
think there are two.
That may be, I'm sorry, I'd have to.
And I was told they didn't, quote, weather well,
Yeah.
some of them. So
Well, when you're going through your explanation for what you have to do nowadays to meet the code,
Right.
to build in a location like this, obviously this is a whole other level of
They built in a different way back
engineering,
then.
et cetera. Whereas, so to your point of things not lasting, this has to be the most punishing environment that you could possibly
Certainly.
even imagine building in. And so, but these older houses probably not up to that. But
Thank you. We just didn't want,
Yeah.
to not acknowledge that a well-known architect of our area.
No, we respect Norman's work. a
Okay,
lot.
good. Well, okay,
I mean,
so,
Rob worked for Norman for 3 years, so he actually knows this house pretty well. But it was a copy of a previous house done for the client
In East Hampton.
East Hampton.
Oh.
So this, in fact, was done as a spec house, and as such, it used cheaper materials because Norman was trying to make a little money, so, which I
yeah.
don't blame
The
him.
person I talked to said wood against stone, it was not a particularly helpful.
Well, you got to do it right, but
Yeah.
anyway.
And it evidently wasn't. Anyway,
Yeah,
all right.
so-
So are you,
That's it.
are we at the, I think your house is quite handsome. I don't have a lot more to say.
Oh, well, thank you.
After all that, filling out the forms, I'm sorry, it's just,
Well, we'll get
Can't help it.
Justin to come in here tomorrow.
It's not my
He'll come to
wa-
the building department
Okay.
tomorrow. He'll check the yes box.
He needs to explain what happened,
yeah, 'cause
not
it's-
just check the box.
Yes, sure. Could he explain that to Diane
In
or
writing.
somebody in there?
No, in writing.
In writing, okay.
Requested to be read into the record.
we have another, like a 5-page letter that someone else wants read into the record.
Is it in criticism or support?
It's about the Cooper's Neck parking lot.
The landscape architect is here. He could go through their
So
design.
maybe you could review the critical points of it?
They're discussing the height, which is why the height issue must have come up.
But how would they know what the height is? I mean,
I don't know. I'm not in
Must have
control
looked
here.
at the plan.
They may have looked at the plan.
They can foil the plan of the building department.
I don't think they ever saw
well,
the
they
design.
never saw this because we created this for this hearing, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And the existing house is taller than what
Yeah,
we're
it's 4 feet taller than the existing house anyway, but
The woman's name is Maureen Sherry. She objects to the expanse of this house with the Sugarman house, saying it's a long line.
well,
What is her address?
This is a smaller house than the Chappie house too, so.
This is not my
But it's
argument.
it's also half the size of the Sugarman house.
That's good. Because that was,
Or maybe it's a quarter of the size, yeah.
Is there an address, Susan?
no, it was
Is
an
that
email.
16,000 square feet? It's 22,000 square feet. Jeez, it's a third the size of it.
There's not much to say. They object that that if they go to Cooper's Beach, there's a huge house on the other side of the parking lot, which
Yeah.
she hasn't mentioned. Really
Which
big.
is very
And
visible, yeah.
six, I can't
Yeah, yeah.
believe that one, that they like it. So anyway, I actually think we're not, the parking lot part, it's not her house, it's the
Yeah.
parking lot, so we don't really have a whole lot.
Unless she lives in her car, I mean.
Well, I don't want to say that. All right, so does anyone else, Rob?
I just had some detailed questions. What color is the stucco?
Stucco's right here, it's white, and we do a kind of a very specific type of stucco. We sand the top coat, actually hand sand it with sandpaper so that it's very smooth and dense, so it appears to be more like stone than the sort of pebbly stucco, which we don't.
Will this be a similar look from a distance to the house next door?
Well, the house next door is cut stone on clips.
Shiny.
So it's a different material, but the architecture is a similar aesthetic, sure.
The wood for the louvers?
It's teak.
Okay. And some of the windows appeared shaded in different ways. Is that just the interior blinds drawn in, or?
Well, that's just that's the computer program. In other words, you're looking inside of an enclosed space, so it seems to be
That's why I
dark.
was
So
asking.
it's showing dark, okay.
That's why I was
Windows are all
asking if
the
they're
same.
glazed.
Yeah, no, they're not, there's no tinting.
Yeah, that's why I was
I
asking.
think, yeah, those are my questions. Thank you.
Curtis?
Handsome home, fits in, just in keeping. Find it very difficult to even make the argument with Jaffe House, even though, if you want to be technical, it is a person of, a famous person, that's pulling the weeds, and I don't think it rises to the level to go in that direction.
Oh, it's too late. We don't have any jurisdiction. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak about this proposal?
I just have one comment. I happen to know Maureen Linsky, and she lives in the house across. You go up to the microphone, please.
She doesn't say that.
So the,
Name for the record.
I just happen to know.
Say your name.
Kimberly Allen. I do not have standing in this. I am just referencing that the individual lives in the house across from the proposed house. So the house on across from Cooper's parking lot. But I guess if it's not referenced in the letter, there's no opportunity for the letter to be read.
Well, it really is about the parking lot.
The northeast corner of Cooper
Yes.
and
Meadow?
Meadow. The north,
east of Cooper, to the right as you look up.
yes. So,
But she, okay.
That would be her view, then. That's across the street. But, yeah, there's no reference made to that.
Well,
If you would like to see the landscape architect's presentation, no?
is it in the file?
No.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be long, it just needs to show it to it. Oh,
Short and sweet.
great.
I even have small packages.
Thank you. Yes, can you please state your name for the record?
Dan Thorpe with LaGuardia Design, Landscape Architects. The founder of our firm actually worked with Norman Jaffe for 10 years. So we have a collective involvement. Yeah, partners. So I'll pass these around. The top plan is a diagrammatic rendering showing where we intend to add proposed trees to offer additional screening for Meadow Lane and the parking lot.
Do you have a set you can lay down on the table, or?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I need the other way, please.
So that top plan is a diagrammatic rendering showing where we struck
Sorry, Curtis.
cross-stacked sections through the overlook at the parking lot, through the edge of the parking lot, the eastern edge of the parking lot itself, and then through Meadow Lane. The second page in the packet is a more technical planting plan showing the locations of the proposed plants and their proposed species and size. And then the third plan is probably the most significant of the package, and this shows the three cross-sectional diagrams. From the top is a cut through Meadow Lane showing a photo to, I'm sorry, that's right. The top is a cut through the parking lot at the beach. And the photo to the right represents the existing vegetation. It's important to note that all of the existing vegetation along the western portion of the site would remain in place.
And you're putting in fill?
No.
Is someone putting in fill?
No.
No fill?
No.
Great.
Thankfully, the existing berming is already there.
So as I'm looking at that L2.1, the photo is looking west in the parking lot at Cooper's Beach, and then the drawing to the left of it corresponding is sort of a cross-section looking from the south.
Correct. Showing that existing landform with the massing. It's significant. It's a real benefit to it's a mutual benefit to both the village and to the the owner. And the second cut-through shows that 10 to 12-foot high existing privet hedge along Meadow Lane. And then lastly, from the overlook, there's quite an expanse of dune vegetation and tall evergreen trees hiding the house that's there.
Thank you.
Looks good. Very nice.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Anyone from the public? Are we ready to vote?
Written decision. Written decision.
Oh, that's right. This would require a written decision because it's in the historic district. So do we have a motion to ask our council to...
I make a motion that we to adjourn this application
Close
for
the
written
application.
decision by our council.
Close.
Glenn and
Close.
Claudine.
We close the application.
Close the application for written decision by our council.
Second that.
Glenn and Claudine Nussdorf on Meadow Lane.
Aye.
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 So the decision will be either the next meeting. Okay. Yes, and then there's a gap because of Columbus Day.
Right, but so it would be read
It's
out.
like the 24th, today's the 10th. Antoinette, the 24th
That's
of
when it'll be read
September.
out.
You don't actually have to come back for the written decision. You could just inquire the next day as to whether or not, because it's closed. So,
We've got this on the floor, too.
and I didn't see that there was a lot of opposition, so I wouldn't be up nights worrying about it, so. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Next, oh, okay, yeah, you can have, because they're the same as, we have two separate plans. Okay. And the big plans are stamped? Yeah. Next is David Novak Trust, 110 Ox Pasture Road. It's a revocable trust. Construct first and second floor additions.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name for the record?
Bill Schultz,
Bill
Wayne Schultz
Schultz.
Architect, representing David Novak, Revocable Trust. I'd like to submit the affidavits of posting and mailing.
Yes, thank you very much.
And then I'd also like to submit some packets for review.
That'd be great.
Those are small copies of what's in the file, plus some photographs.
Good work. Got a lot of big pieces of paper tonight. It's really laborious. I'm kidding. You gotta do something about it. You got plenty. Yeah. You want to share? Zach,
So
how you got
briefly,
one?
there's 4 additions to the house. 3 are 1-story additions, and the 4th is a 2nd-story bathroom addition. They're small. Together, they come up to 200 square feet. The house is under in lot coverage and way under in gross floor area, which I put on the schedule here. The first photograph is the view through the gate from the street.
Can I see it too?
Yes.
Oh. Sorry. Here. Wait, here. I'll give you mine. Is there...
Yeah, I've seen that. What's the age?
Not old.
The first photograph is the view of the house from the street. So as you can see, it's well concealed. The site is heavily landscaped. There's also a double row of ilex along ox pasture. So other than the gates, you can't see through it all. The ilex is about 8 feet tall. The second diagram is the site, as the survey, and I've just marked in, I've highlighted the 4 additions. The one closest to the road is a bathroom addition, which is 11 by 11, one story only. And there's a small bay window in the rear. The house is north to south, so you don't see much at all, if anything. That's the two-story addition here, and then in the back is a one-story breakfast room addition. The next diagram of the plans showing where the additions, well, I'm sorry, the next sheet is the gross floor area calculation, which I submitted. Then the first plan is the existing plan with the additions marked in yellow. The second story shows the bathroom addition, and the elevations, I've highlighted where the additions are relative to the existing house. Where the second floor addition occurs is 30 feet from the property line, and there's a row of pine trees on the neighbor's side of the fence. And there'll be additional landscaping on our side as well. So you can't see any other house, and no one really sees this house as well. The last photograph I submitted is of the house itself. And you can see why the house is oriented north-south is because of the tree, which is a fairly large copper beech tree, which has been there for a long time. And the house is not an old house at all.
Yeah.
It's just a mishmash of, but it's great. It's great because it's about the property, and the new owners kind of embrace that and don't want to do much to the house. And they're doing a lot to the landscaping in terms of just embellishing it and fixing it. They have a great landscape architect, Elliot Templesman, out of Philadelphia, who's amazing. So
I thought these were pretty modest as he goes. And I agree, the house. Actually, the tree does a great service to that house.
yeah, and it's all about looking
No
out.
offense, but it gives it character.
It does. Yeah.
There's a few other houses that have some big tree like that. I hope they can't afford a big hurricane and we're in trouble around here. So I actually have nothing more to say.
Fine with this. I think it's...
This is an historic asset within the district?
No. It's like 1985 or 73. There might be, is there any part, I mean, really, it's a sprawling house that was built. There's nothing to recommend.
Inside's all very new and high-tech.
Yeah. Is there any?
I just had a couple clarifying questions. The shingle siding and the roof over the new, it's all going to match the existing?
Yeah, cedar shingle siding, cedar shingle roof, cedar soffits, and the windows are Marvin's with white trim.
And on the new second-story addition, which is going to have the matching circular window, which we all wish wasn't there, but it'll match, it's fine. I'm just curious as to why 4 casement windows underneath that as opposed to 3 on the existing form, for what it's worth.
It was the bathroom, and it was just had to do with the sinks and the layout inside. I mean, it's kind of arbitrary.
I mean, that's the western side?
I could match it.
That's the western elevation?
Yeah, that was a preference, yeah. That's the eastern elevation where the 2-story bathroom is.
Okay.
And, that has the pine trees facing the
I don't think it's a big issue, just curious. So it's driven by the programming inside, and I don't think it's a big... All right, thanks.
Okay.
Nothing to talk about this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Is there anyone from the public who wants to speak about this application? No? Do I have a motion to close the application for written decision?
I make a motion that we close the application of David Novak, Rev Trust on Old Spencer Road for written decision by our council.
Second? Aye?
Aye.
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 He had to wait, but it was pretty quick, wasn't it? Do you want any of this?
Do you need those?
We don't need all of them.
Keep one for the file?
I have what, wait, those are stamped, I think.
Yeah, I can
I
get
just
Is
need
this
the stamped
stamped?
photographs. No, that isn't. I need the...
Here. Wait.
Yeah, I have what I need.
Great.
There you go.
I got the given back.
Our final
You want
application.
these, Will?
Application under Public Hearings Historic is 408 First Neck Lane LLC, 408 First Neck Lane. Construct a two-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and accessory pool house.
Stephen and Tom from Ferguson and Shimamian, and I submitted the affidavits of posting.
Can we spell their names?
One.
She needs to write it down. She needs to write it down.
Right, Stephen Chrisman, C-H-R-I-S-M-A-N.
Tom McManus, M-C-M-A-N-U-S.
Okay.
Thank you. Hello, good evening.
Just that beautiful property.
So what, in our packets, we've sent you is additional photographs of the site, as well as our precedent and reference images that we're looking at of historic houses in and around Southampton that we were using as our design references. So the project at 408 First Neck Lane, it's new construction. The owners came to us, essentially the very first thing they said to us was that they're looking for a classic Southampton-style house designed as though it has always been on the site and designed in an authentic manner. So that was our calling card. That was our first emphasis that we wanted to work on. So we could go through if there's any questions on the reference images, or would you like us to go through any of those?
How would you characterize the style in terms of architectural styles?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really what clients would call it a Southampton.
Bless you.
As architects, it's really it's a mixture of houses like buildings from the Shinnecock Hills Country Club. It's an American shingle style house, has a gambrel roof forms, and a little bit of colonial revival elements mixed in as well. Yeah.
I think we should just move on to your proposal.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Let's go. Yeah, that's good. I don't know if there's any questions on the site plan. We're having Ed Hollander, landscape architect, working on the site plan for us. And one of the most important elements was to preserve the hedging along the front of the street that's there currently, and also the large trees that are in the front of the site, particularly the large copper beech. And that the house is set back further than the front yard setbacks to be similar to the other houses on either side of First Neck Lane, and to recognize particularly the copper beech tree in the front. It's also going to be building hedging along the sides, which will be very similar to what's existing in the front.
One important note, on the agenda, it listed that the pool house was part of this application. It's actually not part of this application at this time. This application is really just for the house with the attached garage. The pool house is still undergoing some design and will be a separate application. It's not part of this application today.
Is that what the application says?
Yeah. So we have a rendering of the front facade.
This is part of the reference.
That's right.
Thank you for clarifying.
I'm sorry, I apologize. We wanted to supplement that.
Thank you very much. I got stuck on a reference. What a footnote.
So the house is a symmetrically balanced house with a central mass, flanked by two gambrel wings and a central porch. The materials are white painted shingles.
White painted?
White painted shingles, yes. And white painted trim. Windows are painted. Shutters would also be painted. Natural cedar
What color are the
shingles.
shingles? I mean the shutters?
The shutters, so they would be blue-gray color. We have a large mock-up to show you.
Just careful with this wasn't
Right. So this is a full-size mock-up of showing the roof shingles, upper gutter, painted shingles, and then the painted window trim, the painted window, and a light blue-gray color for the shutters.
It's on your elevation in here, the colors are off. It looks sort of yellowish for the trim. And the house looks pinkish, but should we assume that what you're showing us is...
Yes, they should be, it
I
should be
know,
a
yours
white.
looks like that, but ours looks like this.
Okay. Perhaps there was a slight variation of the printing. The intention is that the trim would be a white color, which we see
Good.
in a lot of the historic houses.
Yes,
in the area.
not a lot of yellow.
Yes, exactly. It's a good point. There's the wall.
Side elevations.
Right, so then the
front and back.
The back of the house takes on the same character as the front, except we have pergolas on either side of the two rooms, the office and the family room, which would be an open-top pergola. The main mass is centralized with two wings flanking it on either side.
In terms of the length of the house presented to the street, how does that compare to other houses nearby? Do you know?
Let's go back to the site plan. It's well within the setbacks for the property.
Not my question.
I think it's something we need to survey up and down the street to give an accurate answer.
Well, I just can't. Honestly, I walk for exercise, and I walk past this every single day, like 333 days a year. So it's not that I'm unfamiliar with the situation. But for instance, the house, it shows that it's being constructed to the north, but it's already finished.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm missing like dimensional, I don't know how.
Our floor plans show the dimensions.
Where's the site plan? Let's,
So that's the overall, 143 feet.
Site plan.
Site plan.
Here.
Really? You didn't hear us say site plan?
In front. Gives you a color around.
I got it history. Oh, in the part about the house. Here we go. Well, there's pretty much room. Okay. I don't, that is not an issue for me, that part, that question, I'm sorry.
I don't think you needed the prelude to all these homes. I think the house stands by itself. It seems to be a straight, clean home. I just think that this kind of, I don't see any similarities to the Metal Club, I'm sorry, to Shinnecock, to anything else. It's just, that was just unnecessary.
I agree.
But
In fact,
house stands on its own. I don't find any issues with the design, the style. I think it's in conformity with that particular area. I have concerns about the length of the dimensions. I think that the material they're being used are just customary for that area. It's a good job.
I'm struck by how subdued it is.
But do you think it's monotonous?
No.
I'm sorry, I always want everything so simple, and I'm like, now, wait a minute.
Do you know
I think
King
it's
Manor in Jamaica? You're channeling it, because that's what this is.
That's very good.
Your front porch is really quite beautiful, I think. Thank you. No, I mean, what you're accustomed to seeing with these aggressive, pointy
Yeah, no, you're right. It's the length,
forward-facing.
it's the span that's making me nervous. It steps down and steps back a little bit.
The garage wing also projects forward to break up the overall length, at least on...
And thank God it's not street-facing, right? Were you here for the whole meeting? Okay. On First Neck Lane. So, all right, well, it does make me a little nervous, but I think it is simple and nice. I have I always loved that giant lawn. But I know things change. I see that the garage comes out. So the pool house is out
You
there.
intentionally rotated the garage so you couldn't see it from the street.
Great. That's a really good idea. Thank you. That doesn't, it's just unnecessary is what it is on this property, most properties actually, other than a kid house from like 1965 or whatever. Anybody else?
I have a question about the north elevation. When I'm looking at the north elevation and looking at the porch in the back, is that sort of a solarium conservatory that's going on?
Yes, the intention would be a small glazed conservatory.
And are those paned windows on the roof?
They could certainly be, yes, absolutely.
That looks like what's being rendered, but
Yes,
it's interesting.
right. It's the idea
Wood
of,
frame, it's not metal framed.
it would be wood frame, yes.
Really?
So look at the-
Good. There's the wood frame department around here is unusual because the weather.
And the other question I had is just back on the west elevation facing the road. I'm not bothered by it, but and I understand the physicality of why you designed the sort of the bent roof, the reverse gambrel roof on the garage. That's to get the width that you need and not interfere with the windows up top.
And not make the
a lot of
massing
other
too
good
tall.
things. Is there a design reference for that? Is it meant to look like a stable, a former shed, or?
Well, yes, historically, you would often see, a wing being added to a gable house with the lean-to, and so we were picking up some of those, a little bit more agrarian or
I like
service
that
building.
because otherwise, because it's not monotonous. No, I do. A little quirk is always good,
Yeah.
I think, because you have a
Garages are
big, you're
wide.
talking about a big house.
I think it's a very handsome house.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that there are no eyebrow windows.
I know. Yes, that and actually, yes,
Okay.
those things. So, is there any public comment? Oh,
Hi, good evening. Hi, Karen Hoag. I'm with the law firm of Toomey Latham Shea, and I am here on behalf of the neighbors, who are Scott and Michelle Lindsay, who are the adjoining property just to the south. These Lindsay's just received notice a couple of days ago and really haven't had an opportunity to look at the plans. Mr. Lindsay's been traveling, and I was just wanted to see if we can get a short postponement to the next meeting so that we can have the opportunity to review the plans and the landscape design, as our drive is actually right adjacent to the property. If you look at the aerial, if I may.
but when,
This is the neighbor's property.
there's like the posting and mailing was correct, so I don't think that we can actually,
She's not saying it's incorrect. She's
No, I'm not saying- I'm not saying it's-
circumstances are such that they haven't had time to review it, which is not an unreasonable request.
It isn't? So we should grant it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we might have to, so,
I think that the next meeting, the 24th, is sufficient time for us to look at the plans. I believe that's the next hearing
because
date.
what you're hearing is that we really don't have objections to these.
Right, no,
right?
yes, I do understand that.
And I do see on the site plan that they've actually centered the building on the lot and made, I think, a fairly easy to look at building. Obviously, for your client, it would be great if there was no building, but that's not what's happening here.
No, that's
Okay,
understood.
so,
And I'm actually the one who sent out the postings and the mailing, and I actually sent them out early. So they actually went out like 13 days before.
so they went,
I think that due to the Labor Day holiday and our clients' plans, that they just hadn't had the opportunity, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask to come back on the 24th to have the opportunity to review the plans.
It's just that, of course, the next meeting after that is canceled, and then that would put our written decision into the end of October, which starts to affect the project. I'm sure that her client is going to not want them to be under construction next summer, so the sooner we get started, the better.
I can have a written decision for them on the anticipation that it will be approved. But I think it's not unreasonable that,
I'm actually...
You have to go up to a microphone.
excuse me, let me finish.
Yes.
It's not unreasonable for one adjournment to be requested so that a neighbor can review the documents.
We didn't receive it. The posting that we had was...
You have to identify yourself.
I'm Michelle Lindsay, and we did not receive it until after we returned from Labor Day. So, and I think on the postmark it was August 29th or something, so... 28th. Yeah, so we didn't get it until last week. But all we received was an agenda. We didn't get any of the plans or
Well, you
anything.
don't. You have to go to the building department. It's not...
But even so, we were in New York. That gives us a couple of days because we received it on Tuesday, and today is Monday of the following week.
That's kind of how it goes. On advice of counsel, I don't know what to do, because I think it's a disservice to let it go into, because we've adjourned the first meeting in October. We only have one meeting at the end of October. So how would the logistics work?
Right, but it has
Can have a decision for you in anticipation that you're going to approve this design.
Okay.
Or you may hear from the Lindsays, and which might be a courtesy from them, is you need to review this ASAP, and you could have your attorney communicate with this gentleman here as soon as possible and let him know of any objections that there are, try and resolve them, and if there are no objections, so advise him, and he can advise me.
I mean, for us, this has been this great expanse for almost 100 years. So all we want to do is it matters to us.
We understand. We all live
We're not
here.
saying that there's a problem with it. We just want to look at it.
We understand. We're just saying that because of the schedule of the board, it's not going to meet in early October.
We don't want to
This one adjournment
penalize
could hold it up
people.
for 6 weeks.
Well, we will look at the plans as soon as possible. Hopefully, within the next couple of days, we'll be in touch with
So we'll
the
say by
applicant.
Thursday or Friday, there'll be a communication to the architect.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to close the application.
No, you're going to adjourn it for all purposes.
Adjourn it for all
So
purposes?
will you actually have a written decision available then at the next meeting, do you think?
I will, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Oh, so what are we doing?
You're adjourning it. You're just adjourning
Adjourn
it.
it for all purposes.
How is that possible?
He's going to prepare it
mean
in
how it's possible?
advance in case you decide.
And then,
There's no requirement that there be a delay from our sort of effective vote to a written decision. We'll just have the written decision available. If there are no issues or there's a resolvable issue that we can review at the next meeting, we'll review it and vote on the written decision that goes from there.
Right.
You may need to bring
Well, hopefully by Thursday or Friday, we will know if there are any,
one that says...
all right, I'm
by
still,
Thursday or Friday, we'll know if there are any issues.
Okay. Well, I make a motion that we adjourn, we adjourn this
Can I just, for 1 second, just for protocol, the board still has to request the council to prepare the written decision as part of the...
It can be, well, we're requesting that de facto.
That was going to be part of my motion, sorry. That we adjourn for all purposes at the request of the applicant, and that we ask our counsel to prepare a written decision in anticipation of a decision at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I second that.
Aye.
aye.
Aye. That way it's never challenged.
Oh, I see. I don't know the protocol.
If you challenge, if he just does it.
Okay. Take the two. Okay,
You want to close it out?
yeah.
Close it out.
Do I have a motion? That concludes our applications for this evening. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion that we close this meeting of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation on September 10th.
I second that.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.